Today on the Swolecast, we answer the age-old question. What do you do when you schedule your honeymoon concurrently with a massive $5 best ball tournament with a $200,000 top prize? Today, 3 married men will tell you how to navigate this tricky scenario.
Please don't dupe me, bro.
I'm begging you, don't dupe me, bro.
It's the poop narrative.
Kitchen's been waiting to say those words.
No.
For 5 years.
What's up, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to the football week of the Swolecast. I mean, this is when football starts. This is the football week. So people might not have been tuned in to the past to all their hot takes. Well, they're tuning in now because this week football has officially started. I'm David Kitchen, joined by Peter Overzet, Davis Maddock, and LordReebs, Rich Hribar from Sharp Football. Rich, how did Davis get you to get on the show with us?
I mean, Davis always has a special place in my heart. He knows how to get me on the shows. Last time you guys all ate lunch when I was on the show. I'm curious to see what happens today. I did not pack my lunch though, unfortunately.
I have not eaten lunch yet. And I know Davis is like,
he's been too busy, dude. He's been too busy.
What's a job? So yeah, I haven't had lunch yet, but I did get a Coke Zero freshly poured. So we're good there. Peter, do you have anything to say?
When I submit my time card for the Swolecast this month, I am going to put in time and a half for doing the cold open. I do think that's generally supposed to be your job. And if I am going to do that, I need to be getting paid extra.
Yeah, I just
Fair.
thought that I asked you if you wanted to do it, and you said yes. I was fully prepared to do it.
Well, yeah, I want time and a half. So, yeah, I was willing to do
So
it.
Okay.
Time and a half for 30 seconds.
Yeah, this man is an expectant father. He's getting the paychecks where he can get them.
That's right. We all are in different seasons of life, right? Like Rich, you're like the guy that's been through it. You're the vet. You are the guy that should have.
Yeah,
the most
Reebs has a Giants fan for a son.
All right. I am kind of in the middle of it. Kind of been married for a while. Kids starting to grow up. They're all in school. Peter he's been married, about to have his first child, and then Davis is literally getting married in 10 days. So different phases of life. So everyone watching this show should have someone to identify with.
Well, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's there are plenty of fantasy football virgins out there, but
I was also going to say there's also plenty of different types of people who aren't represented on this incredibly diverse panel.
yeah.
Wow.
We had made it like 8 years before getting canceled, so we've done good.
Tuttle tried. Is Tuttle going to come back on this show? By the way, like is you know?
He used to get offended whenever we would even suggest a guest host. Now he's just like whatever. He is coming back though whenever DFS starts again. Like he will be coming back. Someone said he's disguised as Reebs. Would honestly like be a pretty ingenious thing for him because he would just need to fill in the beard section.
And we have the Saved by the Bell correlation too.
That's true. People forget.
Zach Morris, and some people might also forget that Reebs tried to do a brand change.
Never happened.
That lasted.
It was this show that brought to light that illuminated the mistake, the folly I had made because RotoPat, I believe, was on with you guys, and you guys talked about it. And when RotoPat dunked on it being a bad idea, I was like, oh shit, this definitely.
It's like you're like shit. I am down bad, bro.
Yeah.
No one took the handle though. We
If at Peter Overzet and at Davis Maddox said it was bad, you know it's bad.
Do you know what's I mean, Rich, though, has a great personal brand if the biggest skeleton in his closet is a few days of RotoReebs. Like, if that's all you got on Rich.
Yeah, listen, we'll take it, man. If only everyone knew the truth behind the curtain. I've been getting by on a lot worse.
Okay, starts of obviously the preseason with this week, the Hall of Fame game. So training camp has just been some massive buzz out of training camp. I want to know, Rich, how much you follow in this buzz. Like, is it moving anything for you?
I mean, not a whole lot. I mean, we're looking just to kind of see where these guys are going to use. My days of working at NBC, I mean, we're going to latch on to anything a beat reporter puts out, and we're going to put it out, right? Like, it's not up to NBC's job to sort through like what's tangible. It's not like we're trying to put out stuff. So it's not any of those guys' fault. It's up to you guys to kind of delineate and see what is actual and what isn't. I will say, look for the actual things that are reporting. Things that are like when a guy is getting his reps. What's the order of those guys getting those reps? What kind of packages are these players in? Things like that. That's all you really kind of want to follow and look for, and then try to follow like the drum beat, right? Like consistently. Like so far, everyone has it in that like Darrell Williams is by far the next Cardinals running back to get. But the entire drumbeat of the entire offseason, like all Cliff Kingsbury's done is talk about Eno Benjamin. The guy getting the reps has been Eno Benjamin. Like, and he's the guy, he still goes 40 picks after Darrell Williams. Like, so you want to look for like consistent things like that. Now, also, we'll have to see the games like finally being played next week. This one tomorrow, like who gives a shit about the bums are all going to be playing tomorrow. All these guys aren't going to make the roster. But once we start to see these games play, we're going to actually start to see the pecking order. And if Eno Benjamin's the next guy up, like for the Cardinals, like then you can really sink your teeth into all that drumbeat and get on board and start really kind of drafting him even a little more aggressively over Darrell Williams.
Davis is living and dying by every tweet that is sent out. There's like the NFL beat writers report that just is an aggregate. And Davis, like I saw yesterday, like every tweet that has to do with a running back in Chiefs camp, like Davis has an emotional attachment to them.
Well, the problem is that it's all, if we're talking about the drumbeat is all there for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like they're all the beats are saying he looks good. They're saying he's, the guy coming out of the locker room with Mahomes. Rojo predictably does not look good.
It's not just that CEH is looking good. It's that like Rojo is not the guy that's
and people I think actually the more important thing is even the layer below that. The only reason Isaiah Pacheco would be taking any reps with Mahomes would be because they got Rojo into camp and they're like, this guy just is not it. Isaiah Pacheco, fine player, whatever, but he's not going to be playing over Clyde Edwards-Helaire first game of the season, right? But he could ostensibly be playing over Rojo.
Davis, circling back to the cold open, I do detect like almost a nervous energy to your tweets, a layer of tilt that you are going on your honeymoon during the thick of all of this stuff. Are we detecting that correctly?
Well, I didn't really think about it, obviously, when I'm like, I'm getting married. I'm excited. It's amazing. The August 13th happened to be the day that worked out that this venue was available. Honeymoon, tight, excited, making these decisions in long time ago, right? Not really thinking about like, what is that going to do for my day-to-day of getting 150 teams drafted in Best Ball Mania 3? Because that's very important to do. And, just it's a tight schedule, Pete. It's a tight, we're on a tight ship.
Do you remember when both Kitchen and you were giving me shit for going on my week vacation in March of last year, right when the Top Shot bull run was going, Club Top Shot was ripping, and you guys couldn't believe that I was going
and now
on
look
vacation.
At Top Shot, what happened to it since then?
No, but how did I play that, Kitchen? I unplugged. I didn't do anything on Twitter. I enjoyed my vacation, and I came back, Davis, and everything was okay. Yeah. Everything is there where you left.
Your tweet made me like when you were asking if you could draft or enter new drafts or just complete.
Well, I know you can't enter new drafts out of the country, but someone and I don't remember who. Someone tried to spook me by saying they entered slow drafts, in a legal state, and were not able to make their picks.
How many slow drafts do you plan to enter before your honeymoon?
I was thinking like 10 seems reasonable.
I thought you were going to go higher. That actually, all
10,
things
10,
considered,
10
that's
it's not like
Well,
I'm going to be on my
He
phone.
is 100% lying. He is not telling.
I am not lying. I'm not lying because
10, then what's the point? What's the point? Siege
that's
gift.
10. That's 10 fewer drafts than I have to do when I get back. Like Dave, I got
have to keep up. You have to keep up with like what's happening, like all during those.
What, you think I'm not going to be on my phone for a week? You think that like what?
Davis, you know how we say like sometimes you got to touch some grass. Well, on your honeymoon,
sometimes you need to touch your wife.
Ass. Yes.
We got to spread that seed, man. You got to.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is honestly what I think is what people are missing. The bag is the most important thing. Getting rich is the most important thing.
You're about to get married and you're saying the bag is more important than
it's very easy for someone like who's rich, like Levitan or Smiz, to be like, hey dude, just like go just be happy for a week.
Davis,
we
what do you
we
think?
need you to take off the bag on this honeymoon and have some kids. You need to join us.
Yeah, speaking of things that'll cost me wealth, having children.
I mean,
that is not.
I assume your wife, the soon-to-be wife, is already well aware of your skateboarding videos, your former rap crew. This is a small speed bump on the Davis Maddock train. She fully is invested. I assume you guys bought a new house recently. She knows where the money comes from. They're not going to come from this tournament. This is extremely minus EV to 150 enter this, but I
yes.
you. But so she's already aboard.
And there are other things, Davis. If you spend your honeymoon drafting, there are like recurring consequences where your wife.
So I don't remember who made this point. I think maybe Wiggins was the one who made this point. But this is actually great. I don't want to be hearing about this shit for 50 years.
Right? Yeah. There are. Like this is Davis, just sets up a bad precedent.
What do you think your odds are of finishing top 10 in the Puppy 3 with 100 entries versus your odds of finishing top 10 in the Puppy 3?
I'm not going to draft any. I'm not drafting. There will be no puppies entered on the honeymoon. It will be BBM exclusively.
Okay. I mean, Davis is trying to thread the needle of the greatest best ball story ever, which is drafting a slow draft Best Ball Mania 3 team on your honeymoon that ends up being the eventual $2 million.
I mean, can you imagine? Also, the underlying current here is like obviously for someone in my line of work, like if like binking Best Ball Mania is like, I will just never like. You cannot be trolled at that point. Like you won the largest fantasy football tournament of all time. Like someone trolls you and you're like, okay, I won $2 million playing fantasy football. Like, get out of here.
So is it
a brand? Again,
clout.
It's a brand thing. It's a brand thing. My brand will be set for life.
But here's what you have to remember is that you have to maximize your chances with marriage. Marriage, it's amazing. Things change though, right? It's not just about you. It's about you and your wife. And you have to maximize your chances. That's why I was anti having your honeymoon and birthday be like in the same week. Because it cuts down on your chances for lack of a better term, intimacy. Right, Rich?
Listen, my anniversary is December 2nd. During the middle of the season.
Tough scenes.
It'll be 16 years this year, and I wasn't doing this when we got married. Obviously, I would have never gotten married in December.
Yeah.
Like going into this, like this is the job. And I've had a few things come up. Like we were out on our anniversary, celebrating the weekend, the night that Kareem Hunt got suspended. And it's just like, things come up and they get in the way, they ruin things. We've had really a lot of trouble trying to like correctly celebrate it. We kind of move things out to after the season. But yeah, I mean, having this kind of always be a yearly thing now for Davis is going to be interesting because what if someone next year on, August, 13th tears their ACL or something, you got to go and update projections and do things like that. That's always going to be a thing, man. This is always going to be a thing now for the rest of your life surrounding football. You're cutting it real close.
All right, Pete, do you have any other extra tips for David? When's your anniversary, Pete?
My anniversary is a few days after. It's August 13th.
Oh
and
my
I was
gosh,
actually thinking about it today.
Wait, you got married on August 13th too?
Yeah. No, sorry, August 10th.
You heard me yell from the other room.
I have my dyslexia because it was 2013. 8/10, 2013. Oh, man. But what I was going to say, Davis.
So
is
now we
I
have a
remember-
divorce guy on the show as well.
Oh, God. I just got a text from Lauren with the emotionless emoji there. Yeah, that's not good. She's pissed. No, on my honeymoon, God, this is getting dicey territory. I executed a keeper league trade when we were in Aruba.
See, it is like obviously it's not like the phones are not going in a Faraday box for the week that we're there. Like the people acting like this is going to be
signed up for.
She knows me, dude. We have lived together for 3 years. It's like she gets it. I mean, it's not like her favorite thing about me that I'm on my phone all the time, but it's like clear, we get it. We're living in a modern world here, folks. No one's disconnected.
Where remind me where you're going on your honeymoon?
A resort in Jamaica.
So you guys are it's not like you guys are going to really be out exploring. You are going to just be by the beach and by the pool.
Pretty much just hanging out.
Okay.
Like maybe there'll be like a day of like hiking, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Just would like to mention that Peter was the one that had the idea of giving marriage advice to Davis. Davis, I would just like to say one of the big pieces of marital advice is don't forget the date of your actual honeymoon or your wedding.
I didn't
anniversary.
forget it. I just messed it up because of the 13.
Well, Pete is in a wedding the same day of my wedding, so he can't come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was either, the three things I was going to do. So I'm going to Mike Zakarian's wedding. Then I was going to try to get to the Fantasy Expo. And if the Fantasy Expo wasn't there, I was going to go to Davis's wedding.
I mean, but to your credit, Davis, like you invited the three guys that would represent the industry well with Leone, Dink, and myself, right?
Well, I invited Corain as well, but he's not coming.
And Corain literally chose the expo. I mean, this guy.
Well, Corain's partner couldn't make it work. But I'm also realizing that I should have invited Sammy and Nate to the wedding.
Yeah.
I'm going back and realizing like if I could go back, it would have been hilarious to have.
They should have got the invite over me, even though you're in my tree and you.
Well, I invited Tuttle too.
Yeah,
Tuttle's not coming.
Sammy and Nate should have definitely been in your.
But I didn't get invited to Nate's wedding, so.
Nate got married.
He had a COVID wedding, I think.
It was way before too.
Yeah,
I will say,
close.
I'm kind of thankful that I got married well before I had my online friends because that would have been very hard.
I'm sweating it, dude. I am sweating it. I am really sweating it. Like I don't really want David and Dink and Leone to be there at this point, but like it's too late.
Davis just like looks across the room and I'm showing him my screen. He's like, what is he doing? Oh,
yeah, you got it. Like everyone needs to be on their best behavior. Everyone's got to be on their best behavior. Everyone did not get invited to roast me for 2 hours.
You're listen, your wife's going to love me. I guarantee it.
What's the plan on the cleanup? You cutting that hair or what?
So I'm meeting with a stylist on Friday, and I've just been let the beard go because obviously you can trim and cut and shave around a beard, but you can't make facial hair grow. So I just haven't touched it for like a month.
I would pay so much money to get to watch like a segment of Davis with Jonathan from Queer Eye with the Straight Guy doing his hair before his wedding. Would just.
I mean, honestly, that's what I need though, because I would prefer.
What if they tell you you're going to have to cut it?
I'm obviously not doing that. I will just.
You got more important stuff.
But that's actually what I want because I would prefer to wear it down, but most of the time I don't do anything to it. It just sits there. So I need to have someone professional, be in charge.
Money, hair, marriage? Is marriage after hair as far as important?
Dave, if you want to have a good marriage, you got to have the bag. The bag funds everything.
All right. Not everything. All right. So let's move on. I saw, does anyone have, I'm sure we'll get to some more tips and tricks for Davis's wedding, but does anyone have any other tips, like pressing tips that you want to say, Peter?
No,
you might want to tell him just how amazing marriage is.
Marriage is one of the most fulfilling things. Having a partner to go through every step of life with you and to experience all the joys that it offers is honestly one of the most incredible things that has ever happened to me.
Nailed it.
Lovely. Nailed it. Stuck the landing.
All right. So from that to Hollywood Brown being arrested, someone was saying in the chat that Marquis Brown was arrested.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Speeding.
Speeding's not a big deal, right? Like that's not a.
I mean, in a school zone kitchen, are you condoning speeding in a school zone?
He's not gonna.
It is a big deal.
Who's
not
Not a
gonna
big deal from a fantasy standpoint.
Yeah, why is he in a school zone?
101.
I mean, it's a $500 fine, probably.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't drinking or anything, right? We're good, right?
I mean, if he wasn't drinking, he should be fine. Now, if he was drinking, then we'll see.
Hang on, Sosa, go full screen to me here. I got a joke. He was just going super fast to clear things out for Rondell Moore's car underneath.
That was worth it. I
thought so. It was high risk, no reward.
Well, I actually, because I have not talked about this with Reebs yet at all this offseason. So the figuring out the 49ers backfield is like one of those puzzle pieces every year where it's impossible to do. Were you ever a Tyrion Davis Price guy? And do you care that Trey Sermon now looks quote unquote yoked at practice?
No, I haven't really been taking a lot of stabs at these guys either. But Elijah Mitchell is like a palatable price, but he's like a classic dead zone running back. He doesn't catch passes.
Yeah.
Any game where he didn't score a touchdown, he was almost unusable. Now he's got to contend with a running quarterback in the red zone. And then the rest of the guys are just really kind of tough to figure out because, that vagabond Jeff Wilson is still there, who everyone loves. Like, he's still going to be there. It's just really tough, man, to really get on those guys. Tyrion Davis Price, not a great prospect. Classic guy, gets what's blocked, doesn't have a lot of takeoff speed. There's just really nothing exciting about him. At least with Elijah Mitchell last year, you told yourself when they drafted him, you're like, this is a Raheem Mostert clone. And when Mostert went down, it was a natural fit that you could see all that.
Except so let me outline the bull case for TDP, which is just that he is.
TDP bags.
Well, one, please, sir, my bags. But two, he is like a younger, more functional version of Jeff Wilson Jr. Right? Gets what's blocked, can handle some pass, and he just like he doesn't have knees.
Also, their offensive line is really significantly worse than it was last year. Which really hurts. I mean, they lose Laken Tomlinson. They now lose Alex Mack on the inside. Mike McGlinchey has just never really developed as a right tackle, and he's coming back from like a severe quad injury as well. It's Trent Williams and like a line full of guys, man, that they're hoping to get stuff out of. And that's been a big ongoing thing in camp too. If you followed all the stuff that Trey Lance, they said like he's just literally getting roasted in terms of time and he's under like the rest.
This is all bad for my bags. This is all why like
bad for anyone that invested heavily into.
To me, they're one of the easiest teams to bet the under on, like win totals. Like they
well, Shanahan loves to get fancy and lose some games, right? He like guy's the king of that.
Yeah, you also if you're betting the under on the 49ers, you also get that narrative of like the coach is not going to optimally try to screw you out of your wins.
That's true.
I've definitely gotten pretty spooked on the TDP stuff relative to the Jeff Wilson price. And it feels like it should be more like how people are kind of treating Chris Evans and Samaje Perine, where it's like, yeah, people prefer Chris Evans, but they're still both going like 18th round or undrafted. where I'm like, there's no reason Jeff Wilson should be going undrafted and TDP going at pick 150 in every draft.
It's just like the anchor effect of early drafts at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it's that drum beat we're talking about.
Well,
in
Dave, you can
TDP's
just
same
take
range.
TDP wherever you want, right?
No,
It doesn't
well,
matter.
in the same range of ADP as TDP is Raheem Mostert, the guy that you were just talking about. I mean, that's the guy.
Except the beat reports are not consistent on him at all. It's like depending on which Dolphins beat writer you read, they all say something different. Like some guys will be like, he looks amazing. Some guys will be like, he's playing behind Gaskin. Like you can't get a good. We have no idea.
Well, you're drafting on potential, and the guy is one of the fastest guys in the NFL. And I just have to attach the label league winner to him because if he is the alpha in that
How
offense,
can he get enough touches to be a league winner with Michelle, Gaskin, and Edmonds all there? I mean, Edmonds is the one who got
something
the
would
bag.
have to happen to Edmonds. I mean, that's kind of the league winner backup RB whole thesis, right? I
mean, I actually don't hate this take from you compared to the average consistency of your takes.
Thank you, Davis.
The 49ers also have a undrafted rookie, Jordan Mason, who actually was better than TDP in college. So definitely keep an eye on him. He's been getting strong reviews too. The thing is that JaMychal Hasty,
how terrifying is that when some running back you've never heard of for the 49ers starts to get some buzz?
Yeah, well, we just lived it, kind of last year on the Lodge, which I will contend was a solid prospect. But because we know JaMychal Hasty's making the team because he plays special teams, so he's making the roster for sure.
What about Danny Gray?
Well, yeah, Jennings is having a nightmare.
We're hoping Trey Lance can support one guy, let alone the third guy, let alone the fourth guy.
This is the cold water the fantasy industry needed poured on the
Reeves is just coming on being like, everyone stinks. Debo's a bad second-round pick. Maybe George Kittle scores 5 touchdowks.
Well, I saw one of the highlights.
Trey Lance is the classic guy, no matter how bad he's gonna be fine.
He's gonna be fine.
Jalen Hurts last year was objectively bad throwing the football, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. That's where the spectrum Trey Lance on. Now maybe he's excellent. That still exists in the spectrum as well.
Dude,
when I saw some of those Danny Gray highlights, I just was
he's fast. Everyone that's fast should be good right now.
Well, did you see the Trey Lance throw from training camp yesterday, rolling off of it was the same throw that Fields made that was like the wow throw where he's rolling on his opposite foot and just sticks it into the phone booth. I mean, he can do it, right? I'm not really worried about Lance bags, but I am very worried about the TDP bags right now. Another reason I need to draft more teams so that my overall exposure to TDP is lower.
Yeah, and the only reason isn't because you're actually worried about the exposure. You're worried about the comments to the exposure when you post the screenshot of
that.
That
is correct. Thank you. Thank you,
getting in all the low dollar entries so it changes your exposure.
Can we get Rich's take on the first big kind of bombshell to the fantasy landscape yesterday with the Tim Patrick injury? I need Rich to break this down for us.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I mean, Tim Patrick is a guy you inherently want to root for guys like Tim Patrick, and he got his bag last year.
He got his bag.
Safe. But yeah, I mean, it's tough not to be kind of excited for the Cortland Sutton's ADP is so up. I don't know how to get higher at this point, but you got to feel really strongly now about Jeudy getting a bump because the one thing about Jeudy was that so far he's basically been a strictly slot player in the NFL. Was he going to play in 2 wide receiver sets? Was this a team that's going to play, Albert O and Dulcich, and does he get squeezed off the field sometimes? Now, Judy's probably going to be on the field almost no matter what the Broncos are in. It allows a guy like KJ Hamler to come play that vertical slot role as long as he's back up to 100%. These other guys on the Denver roster, really have done nothing to this point in their careers. So, I mean, it's hard not to feel good about, what it means for Jeudy. Especially because Jeudy consistently was getting thwarted out of any type of red zone usage his entire career. I mean, he has 3.2 career fantasy points in the red zone through 2 NFL seasons.
I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. Jerry Jeudy has not been a good NFL player.
I think that's fair.
I
don't care. I'm just
look
he's
who were his quarterbacks.
Well, he had the high ankle sprain, which is like statistically anyone that's had that
So
injury has
bad.
never been good. And he had 6 for 72 like the opening game before he got hurt. So like he was coming out of the gates. Yes, I mean, and Matt Harmon has talked about how like his win rate, like, you know, versus man, everything dropped last year coming back from the injury.
Well,
so,
you know, I know you were contractually mandated by the deep state to mention your guy, so just go ahead and do it now before you know, just stop teasing the people. Do your
I don't think he's a great fan. I'm in on Alberto, man.
No. I meant deep state Dulcich. I know you're a Dulcich guy.
Yeah. Indigo Montoya. I mean, just what a great aesthetic. You know, Greg Dulcich has. But I mean, Greg Dulcich is a good player. I mean, he was my tight end 1. You know, coming into the draft. I mean, I liked Trey McBride a good amount, but Trey McBride's kind of like a projects to be like a ham and egger. Of all players in the NFL draft, wide receivers included, Greg Dulcich was 4th in targets over 10 yards downfield in this draft class and receptions. So he's a big play guy. I think that when you look at the marriage here, he could be that vertical seam guy, and then Alberto just cleans up like all the red zone and like money stuff. But you know, I'm not relying on
it. It could be that Alberto has 2021 Jonnu vibes, right? Like, and Dulcich is the Hunter Henry in this offense.
Davis, you want to know the top email in my inbox right now from a Mr. Pat Crane? It's an MP4 file titled Dulcich parentheses 1. So might be coming to a ship chasing stream near you.
It's finally gonna get me to unsubscribe.
It's like 1 means that he's done multiple of these Dulcich videos.
Oh, he had to add in like a screenshot from the Athletic for version 2.
It's like when boomers, you know, they get sick of MSNBC and they have to switch to what's the fake news network that Gundy likes? OAN. Because the deep state has infected their media coverage. That's like me canceling ship chasing. Is like the Dulcich truthers have gone too far.
No, you should actually like it because it'll if that steam continues, you're gonna be able to get Alberto. So.
Speaking of steam,
it already has, because if you go look at my top exposures in all of Underdog Fantasy,
please blur out no one look at the price. No one look at the amount.
TJ Hamler up there too.
Is 4th. Oh my gosh! Did I see Sammy being 4th on that list?
Yep.
You gotta quit that shit. Rich Davis is not drafted.
Entered 20 slow drafts on your
The drum beat on Sammy's fine. That's fine.
My brand.
He's the only
drum beat on Sammy.
That's just the sound of his medically repaired knees banging together. I mean, the thing with Sammy Watkins is he's the only guy on that roster who is actually an NFL wide receiver and not a one position guy. Like Cobb has one skill set, Lazard has one skill set, Watson and Dubes are like literally who knows, you know, the total whack-a-mole. Watkins can fill in any of the spots they would need.
I can't take any more Watkins. You bring up Watkins every show. I can't take any more Watkins exposure on this show. I do want to bring up something though. Last year, I brought it up. This year, I'm seeing signs of it again. Peter using his influencer status to pump his bags to shift ADP. This tweet from Monday, the Breece Hall climb into the 3rd round is inevitable. Probably only going to pack a few more BBM3 bags, but sitting nice at 17% exposure and a 51.3 average ADP.
So what are you saying that he's going to start drafting Michael Carter now? What is the accusation?
Yeah, no, his thing is
it's the same accusation as the Terrace
he has
Marshall
the
thing.
value.
It logically doesn't check out.
He has the value on Breece Hall. The value absolutely checks out. He has the value on Breece Hall. He wants to pump his ADP up to where he now gets the value on Michael Carter to put out his exposure. You saw it here.
Dave,
he's only going to
You're making any sense.
I got a question. I got a question for Reebs.
Pumping up his ADP. It's like what Silva did with
How do I
Burkhead
benefit from pumping up his ADP?
Because then other people you guys cannot have this conversation. You cannot ask me this question and then the past month being like, do you understand the inevitable value of ADP?
Okay. Reebs, can Zach Wilson possibly be good enough to support Garrett Wilson and Eli Moore? Like, is this
and
in the
Corey
range?
Davis?
I don't think we're that worried about that.
Listen, man, I'm terrified. Obviously, because when you look at Elijah Moore's splits with and without
without
Wilson,
him,
it was an absolute nightmare. I mean, they had 47% completion rate, Zach Wilson to Elijah Moore, and then also like I don't know if anyone has really gotten here yet because we just haven't really cared about this stuff. But the opening 2 months for the Jets is like an absolute nightmare. They play eight of their first 10 games are against defenses that were top 11 in EPA against the pass last year. And they face 7 teams in our top 10. Me, Dan Pizzuto, and Ryan McChrystal at Sharp Football, the top 10 secondaries in the NFL. The playoffs look a lot better, but like the first 2 months, the Jets schedule is like an absolute nightmare in terms of like pass defenses.
Well, I can confirm I have not gotten there yet.
You never will. I'll bring it up like probably a bunch of Fridays. Just like whatever.
Yeah. And I'll be like, yeah, but Mahomes, right? You gotta bet.
Well, listen, I will never bring up pass defenses with Mahomes, but with Zach Wilson,
it probably matters. Yeah.
All right, Reeves, if you're pouring cold water on the Jets, you're pouring cold water on Lance.
Cold water on.
Yeah, Giants. Do you have anything Giants? Like what?
Well, I want you to light a fire. I want you to pump some of your bags. Who?
Give us. Who do you like, bro?
Yeah, womp womp.
You got to draft someone, Reeves.
No, man, you don't actually. You just keep hunting.
Reeves is treating this as a honeymoon period. He's not drafting any teams right now.
No, I mean, listen, I like running backs more than you guys, so I don't want to get on here and talk about running.
Yeah,
backs.
Reeves is like, dude, you understand Antonio Gibson is a screaming value in the 7th round.
Okay, Reeves.
Who's the value running back then? I am more RB agnostic than Pete for sure.
I mean, thinking at the front, like, well, a lot of people are looking at like coaching changes, right, and things that have been added to teams and talking about what they mean for like the passing games. So like one is like the Bengals, right? Like everyone's talking about their offensive line. Burrow's the second most sacked quarterback in the NFL. But like look at where Joe Mixon is going, especially in these FFPC drafts, man. Like you could start with one of these elite wide receivers because I think elite wide receivers are a lot thinner this year than years past. And if you look at the recent trends, wide receiver ones in fantasy football are providing a lower edge than they've ever provided in fantasy football. But so with a real thin tier of, Jefferson, Kupp, Chase, Diggs, and maybe Devontae Adams and CeeDee Lamb squeeze in there, you can start with one of those guys aggressively. And Mixon's going in the second round. Joe Burrow has already talked about how they're anticipating teams to like play a lot more too high safety against them, not really put pressure on them. We saw this at the end of last season. Teams stopped blitzing the Bengals. They were getting shredded. They start playing more over the top because Jamar Chase was just absolutely wrecking them for 2 quarters of the season. For 2/3 of the season. And now you add this offensive line. Everyone's like, well, now Burrow's going to have all this time. But if teams are just inviting you to run the football and the offensive line now is beefed up, like this is a huge signal to me. Like this is an all-pro for Joe Mixon. I mean, Cincinnati running backs averaged under a yard prior to contact per carry. It was 29th in the NFL last year. They were 24th in expected points added via rushing. They were 23rd in yards and 24th in yards per carry. Like these are all major signals that a guy that already has the kind of prerequisite amount of touches we want on a good offense that's going to have scoring opportunities is going to like really smash. And Zach Taylor's kind of a donkey. Like he's going to just hand the football off. Like
Peter, didn't you say last week you did not have any Joe Mixon?
Yeah, I said he would be the guy that I think you asked me, who am I most worried about being underexposed to? And it's definitely Joe Mixon.
Yeah, Reeves, you're forgetting though that my proposal to outlaw the cover 2 high safeties from the NFL is like right now the league is working on that. That legislation might not be passed by week 1, but me and the lobbyists we're doing our best job to get that.
Can someone tell me where I'm wrong here?
We will gladly do it. You don't even have to ask us.
People pumping up CMC, not the CDC. No one's pumping up the CDC right now.
ADP
people pumping
is
up
a false flag created by the CDC.
Yeah,
correct.
So, anyways, CMC at 1.1 because of his potential.
Because he is 5 points better per game than every other player in the league.
But forgetting Derrick Henry, what he could do at his potential.
I mean, Derrick Henry has never even gotten close. Never even
in the first 8 weeks of the season, he averaged 21 PPR points per game.
Which is 6 points worse than CMC's.
I'm not advocating for Derrick Henry to go first overall. I'm saying if you're making the case for Christian McCaffrey because of his potential, why aren't you doing the same thing for Derrick Henry, who's now falling 8th or 9th in the first round? Like Reebs mentioned a whole bunch of people that you get in the
Reebs
first
is
round.
a serious
Derrick
fantasy
Henry
football
wasn't
analyst,
one of
dude.
them.
You cannot waste, like, Reebs is like does this for real. Like Peter and I like have fun and do streams
You
and
still
stuff.
do
Like,
it for real.
but like
Yeah,
Reebs
Derrick Henry
does
caught
this for
passes
real,
last
dude.
year. And then he
CMC's
got
going to catch more passes in like 2 games than Derrick Henry is all season.
You guys are missing the point, though.
We're missing the
that
point.
Derrick Henry's potential is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. So if you're
I'm
drafting
so mad that we got
ceiling,
here. This was a
if
really
you're
good
drafted
show
on
for 42
ceiling,
minutes.
why are you discounting Derrick Henry and putting him in your you can't draft this guy this year?
All
People
right,
do it every year.
Let's let Rich frame this conversation because I was going to ask this and now I'll begrudgingly toss Henry into this. I want Rich to rank Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Saquon Barkley, and DeAndre Swift. What order are you taking those guys?
All right, so the first guy I'm going to take is Dalvin Cook.
100%
What are
agree.
the options?
Another one of those guys that everyone's like, oh, they're going to play so many 3 wide receiver sets. Look what this does for KJ Osborne. And I'm like, cool. But what's going to be really good is that Dalvin Cook's now going to run against lighter boxes than he ever has at any point in his career. Out of 11 personnel, Dalvin Cook only has 27% of his career carries have come out of 11 personnel. On those carries, though, he's 7th in EPA per carry, 5.5 yards per carry on those. He's been top 7 in EPA per run the last 3 years on those carries. So
right,
him first.
He wasn't even in the list.
That wasn't even an option, Rich.
And then I'm taking Mixon. So here's the thing with Derrick Henry, and Kitchen's going to hate this.
Here's the thing.
Here we go.
I mean, so last year, he was the RB1 before he had the Jones fracture. He was averaging 30 touches per game. But he was just getting cleaned up. If you don't get 30 touches per game from Derrick Henry, and granted, he could just do it. Maybe he's a unicorn. He's going to come back and get 30
Maybe they just use him for 5 or 10 carries a game. You're right, Rich. Maybe they just kind of.
But they're not going to get, but 30 touches per game is absolutely insane. Like he was pacing to have like the highest amount of touches in an NFL season in like 40 years of football. It was insane.
You're just
listen,
adding to my point.
Let him go.
Potential.
Yeah, no, so I'm saying because that workload even masked that he wasn't very good. His missed tackles per touch have gone down in each of the last 3 years. His yards created after contact have gone down in each of the past 3 years. If he doesn't get that kind of elite workload, like we're going to start to see some of these things start to be exposed. Their offensive line is absolutely trash. They did absolutely nothing to upgrade it this offseason. And the last time a running back over the age of 27 was a top 6 scorer in any season was Mark Ingram back in 2017. So, like, a guy that doesn't catch passes, he's getting propped up solely on volume instead of like what he really was doing with the volume, and is now like really pushing the age cliff compared to all his peers. He's the oldest back at age 28 of all these guys in the front. I mean, you're still taking on like a significant amount of risk in these full PPR formats. So, I mean, he's a guy that I'm sure Evan will try to talk us into in a couple of weeks. But
no, Evan said he's going to be on his do not draft list, his shy away list.
I think he's really tough to take, man, especially when you have guys like Saquon, going where he goes, and Alvin Kamara. Like people are starting to come around that he might.
I agree with you on Kamara.
These
100%.
archetypes of running backs 4 years ago, guys like Ben Gretsch and the running back dead zone and stuff, like we've finally shifted ADP. You see, it's all reflected. You would never get archetypes of these running backs available in the 2nd and 3rd round in like any fantasy football league as early as 2 years ago, let alone 3, 4, 5 years ago. And I mean, to take Derrick Henry in the 1st round over some of those other archetypes that are available later, it's really, really, really hard, I think.
So you'd rather take Saquon Barkley in the 1st round over Derrick Henry?
You don't have to.
We did in our main event,
but I would.
Yes.
Yeah. You don't have to, though. I mean, Saquon will, no matter how much steam the industry gives him, and as much as sharps will take him at, like we said, the back of the 1st round, when you go into your mom and pop fantasy league and your home league, like so many of your league, he's burned so many of those people that they're going to be like, nope, you're a fool. You're a rube. Like, what are you doing? Well, you can get him in the 2nd round and beyond.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing too in like these FFPC drafts, like in the main we're in right now. Like the team started Justin Jefferson, Deebo Samuel, like, oh, this is zero RB drafter here. And then he hits Nick Chubb and Zeke in the third and fourth. The guy who started Chase grabbed Aaron Jones. The guy who started Devontae Adams grabbed Derrick Henry. Like these guys are grabbing the elite wide receiver and then grabbing this running back who typically wouldn't be there. The ADPs used to be flipped. It used to be you get Derrick Henry in the first, then Devontae Adams in the second.
And I think wide receiver gets really sketchy really fast, but makes me want to have one of those 5 to 6 guys like I mentioned. I mean, you look at Tyreek Hill over the course of his career, like one, he's been like a supremely better and a best ball guy anyways in games where he doesn't score touchdowns. He's at the bottom of the position in terms of point per game output. He's going, to this new system, how many targets are going to be there. Mike Evans was elevated solely because we thought he was going to be the only guy left, right? And now he might not be. It looks like Godwin might be back on the field sooner than later. They add Julio. Deebo Samuel is due like 37 points.
Russell Gage wasn't a good pick in the 6th round.
Well, I'm saying that this tier that immediately goes after the elite guys. Like I think you can poke holes in just about all of those players, and things get sketchy real fast. I love those guys when I'm going wide receiver heavy, and you just keep hammering wide receiver. But do I really want one of those guys in my wide receiver one? I don't know, man. Like I feel like the margins between that tier wide receivers and the guys that are available at like wide receiver like 17 through 24 are pretty similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to pick one wide receiver on the Chiefs roster, Rich. Who is it? At
Easy.
Cost, right?
Oh, Sky Moore.
Sky
I mean,
guy.
We know that Marcus Valdes-Scantling just played as a Hall of Fame quarterback. Like, would you just forget that? Like, this dude.
Have you not seen the
Let's
Juju highlights over the past week?
Let's tone it down a little bit. Aaron Rodgers has run a lot of good players out of town. Let's calm down on the.
Listen, as someone who's
all right,
modeling
Janice
the current
Truth.
aesthetic after Aaron Rodgers, like I don't want you to just keep dunking on him.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is Roger, and like MVS was actually good at what they asked him to do, and I think he's going to be asked to do a different job now, and we'll find out if he can do it or not. But Sky is the one who could be like a 3rd round pick next year.
I get Juju too. I get the argument. The thing I always run into problem with Juju is that someone in my draft always likes him more than me.
A little more, yeah.
And I
love
never
him.
can get him. I'm all
love
for being excited about Juju though. Again,
You know who I also love, and I've talked about on this show, George Pickens.
Nick Westbrook-Akeen.
Oh no, give me Phillips over Westbrook-Akeen any day.
It's
Racing
curious
McNabb.
that you're pumping George Pickens just so you can have him at a lower ADP value while you dump on the rest of us who have to draft him in the 12th round.
Because of my George Pickens exposure, I've been it's usually easy to pair him with a 3rd quarterback in your best ball drafts from the Steelers. And a lot of times it's kind of like, okay, just pick the guy who's not been taken in the last round. Like, either, but now it's like, will either of those guys start? Because the Mason drumbeat from camp is getting pretty loud, Rich.
I mean, listen, Treylon Burks maybe is what we want. That's what we want. That's
that's the one thing where we can all reach across the aisle and agree is on Treylon Burks, right?
No, listen, the Steeler situation is bad all around. Like, there's not a Steeler I want to draft in fantasy football this year.
Really? Not one?
No, not one at all.
Rich's draft board is like 4 players long. It's Joe Mixon. It's like nobody else.
I mean, he's just like cursing the last 8 rounds of the draft and just like, can't believe I got to take this guy. I can't believe I got to take this guy.
Najee Harris is the most unexciting 1st round pick I can.
So bad. Like,
I agree there. I agree there.
And like, Najee Harris is like, have you ever been in a relationship where you it's not going to work out, but like you keep it going anyways? That's like what drafting Najee Harris is like. Like, sure, like there's some marital qualities here. Like the dude's going to be on the field a ton. He's like the best bet to like lead the running backs and snap. But like, is there anything like you're generally excited about? Is the sex good? I mean, this dude had not just 9% of his carries gained 10 or more yards. he caught 60 passes behind. He had 60 targets behind the line of scrimmage. Like, is he getting that this year without Ben
It's
Roethlisberger?
lights off missionary sex once every 2.5 weeks.
Like, it's like, you keep the relationship going. It's not going to like work out in marriage, but you just kind of hang on, and it ends up just being a mess. That's how I feel like it's going to be, like taking him, in the first round. You look at, and we just have to expect, as bad as the reports have been on, Kenny Pickett. Like, first round quarterbacks play in the NFL unless the team is good. And are we expecting the Steelers to compete for?
They're gonna go 9-8, get a wild card, and lose.
And they could. I mean, listen, Mike Tomlin has found a way to. These teams always have alligator and alligator blood. Like he went 500 with Rudolph and Duck Hodges a couple years ago, so maybe they hang around.
Pete,
but
Duck Hodges and Cash.
All right. So speaking of that division, the Browns, you're a Cleveland guy.
Boots on the ground. Speak on that.
Yeah. Are you going to do anything with the Cleveland wide receivers? Does that change at all for you?
I think that there's a lot of value on the Browns offense still.
Here we go. We found it. We found the team.
We found the team that gets Reeves excited. He cannot wait to be starting Donovan Peoples-Jones in a Week 11 windstorm against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Listen, man, I'm Team David Njoku. I'm Big Chief.
Yeah.
His ADP is outrageous, man. He's like tight end 20, and we talk about margins like for the wide receivers. Like the margins when you get to like tight end 8 versus like tight end 20, talk about things being like really tight. Even these 6 games he's going to play with Jacoby Brissett. I mean, only Lamar Jackson and Carson Wentz have targeted tight ends at a higher rate than Jacoby Brissett in their career. So when we look for tight ends, what do we look for, right? Guys on the age spectrum. The dude just turned 26. Completely there. Can he be a top 2 to 3 target on his team? Absolutely. After Amari Cooper, it's a lot of question marks. You brought Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's the second best wide receiver on the team. Is David Bell as a rookie is the third round rookie gonna get accrue a bunch of targets? So that the target opportunity is there as well. And then he's coming off of a season where 13 yards per catch, 9 yards per target. He ran 300 pass routes last year. He's another guy that secured the bag, is going to be a full-time player this season. Foster Moreau ran more pass routes than him last year. So we're going to extrapolate his time. The Browns have a really great schedule in terms of passing the entire way. And when Watson comes back, it looks strong as well. I like Amari in these best ball leagues. I don't know if he's a guy I'll want to draft, but like he went wide receiver 34 last night in a draft. I was in like, there's no way he doesn't beat that.
Bell on DraftKings is also pretty much free. You can get him whenever. Like he's.
Was this your pros versus Joes, Rich?
Yeah.
How did it go? What was your squad?
I picked 3. I started with Cooper Kupp. I took Cooper Kupp. I took Kamara. And then I basically went like anchor approach. They were just betting on like, hey, it's a big tournament. I'm counting on Kamara not getting suspended. And I ended up taking a bunch of rookie running backs later. But I went wide receiver heavy left way. I got Kupp. I did get Juju in that draft. Terry McLaurin, Michael Pittman, who I don't know how you guys feel about him. I know the RotoViz guys hate him. I don't know how sometimes there's a tight overlap here.
They don't like Pittman?
No. So I mean, I got all those guys and a bunch of running backs. I ended up getting lucky. I was with Chad Schroeder, double tapped Kelsey and Mark Andrews at 6.
It's bully tight end, baby.
He went bully tight end. Another team went bully tight end. It was Mojo. Fantasy Mojo took Schultz and Kyle Pitts, I believe, together. I might have the 2 guys wrong, but I know
Does Schultz count as a bully tight end?
I mean, listen. No.
Did Gary Barnage count as a bully tight end? If so, then Schultz counts.
Yeah. Schultz is a Ponzi scheme for sure.
Schultz is like Ethereum Classic or Solana. It's like no one wants to be left holding that when the music stops.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Peter.
No, I was just gonna say in that main event I was referencing, we had Pitts in the second, and then Waller fell to us all the way at the back end of the third, and so we were just like, yeah, we're going bully here with
Waller
with
and
Waller.
Kittle, Waller and Kittle falling. It just makes it so hard not to draft them when they.
I take Waller every time. He's like 5 spots after ADP. It's like I just can't pass that.
He's the dude that regularly falls. Him and Goddard is like a mixed bag. Where I ended up getting Goddard at tight end 9.
What do you guys do when you're on the clock in the 9th round and Hawkinson's still there?
No, never.
Yeah, I do. I do it. I take him.
Rich, have you sprinkled in any?
Reebs is not in on Restore the Roar. The Roar will not be restored.
I love the Sun God. I'll take the Sun God at his cost all day, man. I'm in on him. But yeah, I mean, Hawkinson, like, what has Hawkinson shown in terms of like sex appeal?
Nothing.
He's a solid player, but like this dude has 12 targets in his career on throws 20 yards or further downfield. Like, it's fewer than Kyle Pitts got last year as a rookie. Like, there's a bunch of tight ends out there like that.
Do you think the fact that he had 100 yards and a touchdown his first game in the NFL makes him more sexy in our minds than he is?
I mean, he's a solid player, but just like for fantasy, like there's a lot of tight ends that.
How insane is that Fant and Hawkinson both went top 10 in the NFL draft and they both just kind of stink?
It's a bummer.
Fant won Liam $1 million last year.
Yeah, and he could have a zombie.
The Geno Smith. Can we talk the people into a Geno Smith Noah Fant? I don't want to pump my Geno Smith bags, Dave. Because I acquired him at such a low cost.
Yeah, no. Whenever you start acquiring him at whatever the cost is, and then tweet about it, how amazing of a value it is, and you won't be drafting him anymore.
Can we get it on the record that next week you will do a draft on this show? Will you commit to that,
sure.
Dave?
As your wedding present? Sure.
I thought I was getting an unclaimed mooncat that's got to be worth about $17 by now.
You're the one that brings up mooncats, Davis, not me. But I will. Thank you for pumping the bags. Rich, late round dart throws. Anybody who you are really on, like Chiga Okonkwo is just a guy just randomly thinking of.
I had to add him to my projections tab yesterday, and I was because someone had tweeted at me about him, and I was like, I'm so mad I have to know how to spell this name.
The first play that they scripted for their scrimmage was to Chig.
It's just like, why do I need to know the fourth tight end's name for the Tennessee Titans?
Could be the first in your heart. All right, Rich, late round sprinkle. These guys, best ball winners. They might not even make the cut, but if they do, they could win you something. Who would it be for you?
I mean, I like Donovan Peoples-Jones. You guys made fun of earlier.
No, I like DPJ. I'm not calling foul on that take.
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, wide receiver. There's a ton of dudes at the bottom that like have like pretty significant like contingent value. Like Josh Palmer. Inherently, we know, right? Like anything happens to Keenan Allen or Mike Williams, there's like a bunch of upside there. In the wide receiver, kind of 60 range. Those are guys you're looking at that contingent value. Jalen Tolbert now. I mean, shit. If anything happens to CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Tolbert is like now, like the
he was already
like they're counting on him.
Jalen Tolbert is going to be a 9th round pick by Monday.
He's already going up way above Gallup now. I've seen in drafts. So, Davis, I saw you farming the other day.
No one should be drafting Gallup.
Gallup's going to be back by week 5. He's a good pick.
Davis is putting in long hours on the farm before his.
Yeah. So Davis, you farmed out your question about guys you should have winning my $1 million lineup.
Are you doing Wandale? We doing Wandale?
Oh, buddy,
yeah.
Our bags are packed.
Wandale.
Our bags are packed for you. I mean, Rich, you knew I was going to be all over Wandale. He's such a gadget guy.
So Davis, who are give us some other players?
Like last round guys?
Yeah, guys, you were farming this out to everybody.
Well, I got a couple interesting answers, which very rarely when you farm do you learn anything. But that was nice. That was nice to learn.
Do you want to share it with the people, or just keep it to yourself?
A couple 18th round picks that I like. Byron Pringle, just because he's going to play. I think he's going to be like a 90% snap share guy. I don't really see how he doesn't get off the field. And the Bears-Lions game is indoor, week 17. Could be any Ravens wide receiver. Used to be Duvernay. He's like 17th round now, but Proche, Talon Wallace.
Yeah.
I think those guys are super cheap. Like if
they're
Lamar
free.
if Lamar just runs insanely hot on efficiency again because the defenses are because what happened the year he won the MVP was like literally 8 men in the box and the safeties were biting on the play action. So like Hollywood Brown or whoever would just like literally be wide open 60 yards down the field. Laviska Shenault, have you ever heard of him? There's been a little bit of a drumbeat on him, and he is an 18th round selection. And I'm gonna pump my bags. Will Fuller's agent has been contacting.
Boy.
Will Fuller's agent has been contacting NFL writers, which at least means that Will Fuller's agent wants Will Fuller to play football this year. Now, no comment on if Will Fuller wants to play football this year, but at least his agent wants him to play. And we are going to see even more than Julio. Like Julio Jones is like ADP 130 now. Will Fuller signs with a team that people think is a hashtag good fit. 9th round pick immediately, maybe higher.
Peter, anybody that you're kind of sprinkling in your drafts? No, got to go. So
one guy I've been drafting a ton, and we were talking about the steady drumbeat. I mean, every single day, Tyquan Thornton propaganda on my timeline. I think he is.
Rudman declared him a bust after the first day of camp, and then he came back real strong.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty excited about Tyquan Thornton.
All right.
What about Romeo Dubes? I mean, Romeo Dubes is like
Dubes is another guy in the past week. His stock has gone.
I did a draft. I did a drafters today with Liam, and he went in the 13th round, like non-ironically. Like someone just took him.
Last night, Pros shows he went in the 15th. He was it's aggressive.
I think they're getting his Canton bust ready with the cheese head on it. I think they're already preparing it to save.
There's got to be some sort of like buzz out of pack. Like they gotta spin it somehow.
Well, Rogers is too busy going into 45-minute tirades about astrology to explain his tattoo. He said to the media, if you're not a student of astrology, you'll get pretty lost in his tattoo.
Okay, what would happen to Dubs' ADP if he started tweeting about astrology and how he's going?
5th round pick ahead of last week.
Oh, easy.
Oh my god.
I hope that dude scores a touchdown in the first game of preseason. Like, please.
I got one that would even he gets a matching tattoo with Rogers. So he gets like an astrology bullshit tattoo that like mirrors Rogers. Like dead ass 9th round, I think.
All right, that will do it for Reebs' Do Not Draft Show, Shy Away show here on the Swolecast.
Reebs' Shy Away 400 list here on the
I'm drafting all those players. I just wanted to put it out there.
Reebs puts out a cheat sheet with like color-coded guys he will draft, and it's like he's got one guy in yellow who's like okay to take in every round. Like one guy who's
yeah, we just play the waivers, baby. We're just picking guys up. You count that fab.
Final thoughts and or plugs if you want, Reebs.
Listen, we're here, man. A couple more weeks we'll be in the season. Sharp Football Analysis, all the work's there. Worksheet still powered now by True Media and like plugged into the Matrix now. It's on cocaine.
Nice. That's at LordReebs on Twitter. And then Davis, final thoughts?
I'm just excited to draft my remaining 75 Best Ball Mania teams, get married, go on a honeymoon, and do all that stuff.
You being on next week's show is also a testament to your willingness to secure the bags. Basically,
what am I gonna? Why would I not need to be on the show next week?
Preparing for the wedding, all the stuff, making sure you have everything you need. I don't know. No. All right, Peter, final thoughts.
There's only one puppy 3, but marriage is forever. Cut the show, so that's what we call a button.
That's an ending.
All right, that will do it for this Swolecast here at RotoGrinders.com. We'll see you next week. Peace.